All right, so my name is Alex Alanis, and I'm with On Point DC. Today's date is March 2nd of 2022, roughly about 6 o'clock, 6:02 to be exact. Today's topic, we'll be talking about the Supra technology and the e-keys, as well as the lock boxes, and how they can benefit what we do and how they work, and also the website. We'll be talking about that as well. There is 24 slides to this presentation, but it should go fairly quickly, mainly because some of the slides are short in nature. So why don't we get started? And I will mention, as well as I mentioned earlier, today's Ash Wednesday, just to kind of time print the recording. This year, it fell on a Wednesday, March, or I think it falls on a Wednesday every year, but today, March 2nd, 2022. So that said, I will meet you guys on my end. And as I always say, if you guys happen to chime in at any time, feel free to do so. Just do me a favor and mute yourself again. That way I don't get delayed in the presentation. Feel free to use the chat room. I'll try to get your questions after each slide, okay? Thank you guys for logging in early so we can get an on-time start. And everybody's invited anytime. Anybody who can benefit from this information is welcome to it. It's free on YouTube as well, and all of the presentations. I do believe there are now 30 presentations on the YouTube channel, and which also carries over to Rumble as well, if you guys have a Rumble account. Okay, so thank you guys for coming. So before we get started, you guys have any questions or comments? All right, well, let's get started then. So today's overview, okay, we'll be talking about United Technologies, which is Supra. What is Supra and their products, the equipment, the boxes, and the keys. And we'll also be talking a little bit about the app as well. Agent use in the field, and then the Supra web on the internet, and how to log on, okay? So any questions or comments on that slide? So falling back to the history now of Supra, Supra is the leading global provider of key management solutions. Supra released its first lockbox system in 1955 for the real estate industry. The Supra real estate lockbox system is managed today by real estate associations and multiple listing services for real estate agents to efficiently market and show listed homes. It's funny. I'm trying to think and imagine in 1955 what they were talking about, and it was probably just a box, you know, with the combo on it, possibly. So I don't have a picture of that, but let's let Dion log in here real quick. Supra also offers innovative solutions for property management, automotive, and industrial sectors. For information about these systems, please visit us at suprasystems.com. And you'll notice I literally took this right off their website. So based in Salem, Oregon, USA, Supra is part of UTC Climate Controls Security, a unit of United Technologies Corporation. So yeah, they're primarily a security company, right? And so about, give me a second, let me log in, Ron. We think about you know, the process of using this equipment, but ultimately it's for security. And so this is some of the history of United Technologies, and obviously the powers that be in real estate, whether it be the boards or the National Association of Realtors, they had accepted this company to head the security of our listings with these tools, right? Any questions or comments? All right, so moving right along. So talking about the products now. So Supra has provided key boxes to the real estate industry since 1955, bringing efficiency to real estate professionals and peace of mind to home sellers. The Supra system makes it easy for showing agents to access properties and for listing agents to track activity at client properties. The latest Supra Keybox iBox BTLE adds Bluetooth technology, low energy technology, and communicates with newer smartphones without any additional hardware. So that's the majority of us that are using Supra use it that way. A data record is created each time a key box is opened, and Supra's wireless keys transmit the showing information immediately, so real estate agents can obtain real-time information about showings. So this is all pretty interesting stuff if you're not familiar with this. Okay, so client questions can be answered quickly, and feedback from showing agents can be gathered while information is fresh in the showing agents and clients' minds. And so anybody that's shown property with Supra will know, and excuse me here for a second, anybody that uses this technology will know that if you are showing a property to a buyer and you go with your phone, after that it'll ask you some questions, and the majority of people just go, you know, past it. But some agents do put some feedback, and sometimes it's something about the property, like, oh, there was water running, or there was a light on, or there was a door open, or something like that. That kind of gives you the opportunity to have that real-time communication with agents. Okay, so so let's keep moving on here. Any questions or comments on that slide? So Supra electronic keys can be a priority electronic device or an e-key application running on popular smartphones. All the Supra keys include PIN code security. The keys record events each time a key box is opened. So Supra electronic key boxes have been used on millions of homes. Current models of key boxes can be opened using Bluetooth or infrared signals. Supra systems record events each time a key box is opened. The Supra key box, along with the key, usually on your mobile device, makes it easy and secure to show property when used properly. Listing agents can install the key box on doorknobs, gas meters, fences, or water pipes, anywhere that can be easily accessible and not be taken or tampered with. The Supra key box is designed so anyone without access will have difficulty either opening it or taking it. And they are pretty sturdy boxes. The ones that we get from the boards, they're pretty sturdy. Now you can also buy them like on eBay or Amazon, right? The only thing is when you buy them as a secondary or on the secondary market, a lot of times you have to have them reprogrammed by your board. So that's just something to think about if you're ever offered an old box or are going to purchase an old box. You can get them used, but you have to have them reprogrammed. And some of them also require a new shackle, which they're fairly cheap. I think they're $5 or $10, something like that. Any questions or comments on that? So when listing a property, you can offer your client a safe and effective way of keeping their key safe and secure, only available to authorized users. It is always wise to advise your clients to put valuables away, even if they are home during showings. Now, those of you who went through the listing presentation, I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a section there that talks about that, about valuables, right? The brokers are not responsible for valuables, especially if you're going to be putting a key box on there where there's going to be people showing up at the property that you don't know, right? Yeah, we have a record of the agent because we have a record of who opened the box, but what about their guests that they're bringing, right? So it's just something to think about when it comes to, you know, giving your recommendations to your clients about valuables. Any questions or comments on that slide? All right, so the key box, once the listing has been sold, can be removed easily from its locked location with a mobile device, similar to the key code to get the key. The shackle is removed with a secret code that you assign to your account. Once removed, the key box can be used on your next listing. So this is how we use them frequently, right? Any questions or comments on that? All right, so like I said, you can see we're already on slide 11, and it's 6:12, so we're moving fairly quickly. And I really do think that this is going to move a little faster than I thought. So once the key box is located, push the bottom of the box, the key holder, and that's that black little section there on the side. to activate the box. You will see a red light flash on the front of the key box, which indicates it's active. And that's that little eye that you see on the front of the box. It's actually communicating that information. But once it's blinking, you can push up on that little on the little black section that actually goes on the bottom of the box, and it'll pop out. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, so Celia is asking, can you program the Supra days before the showings take place? And the answer is yes. And you'll see that on the website, if and when you do go to the website and log in and create an account, or you may already have an account, okay? But what you can do is you can turn it off, excuse me, or you can set times, like say you don't want anybody going into the house before 8 o'clock in the morning, so you turn it off until 8 o'clock, and then you don't want anybody going into the house after, say, 7 o'clock, right? And I'm just using X numbers for time, but yes, that can be done, and we will be covering that a little bit here shortly in some of the upcoming slides. Any other questions or comments on that last slide? Okay, let's keep moving. Once you know that the key box is active, and actually Celia asked another question. So can you do it from the website without being in front of the Supra key? And the answer is yes. You're actually doing it on the website. I think you can also do it on your phone. And really what it does is it ties into the serial number of the box. So as long as you know, as long as you have the serial number of the box, you know which one you're programming. Because what happens too is that if you're going to put a lockbox on a house, it will ask you what the address is, and that's how that's how you know where it's located. That address will show up on the internet when you go onto your account. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Any other questions or comments on the last slide? Okay. So once you know that the key box is active, activate your eKey app on your phone and click on the Obtain Key icon. Right, that's that little icon there. This will show you a keypad. Key in your password, allow the box and phone to communicate, and it will soon beep. Push up on the bottom of the key box, and that was that little black box that we saw in the previous slide. And the box should open, right? And the majority of us, I think, have done this before and have used it, right? And I remember back in the day seeing these little key fobs. I used to have one of them. They were actually used for the smaller box that you see there on the left, right? You don't usually see those too much anymore because a lot of the boards, they were taking them back and they would replace them with the new ones. So in other words, if you take one of the old boxes in, they'll give you another new box, right? And it's a lot of the reason why is because they've been on the market for a long time and some of their batteries were getting low. Some of these batteries can last 10 to 15 years, right? That are on board of these Supra lock boxes. But the new technology now with Bluetooth allows you to use your phone, so that's where these little key fobs are going obsolete. I don't even know if I have my key fob anymore, but I used to have one. The most common key box is the larger of these two boxes. If you find that an older, smaller box is being used, you will have to use a key fob like the one below to access it. So now this does happen. So a lot of times you may ask the listing agent before you go to the property, hey, yeah, I do have a Supra, but is it the newer Supra? Now, I would say that I haven't seen one of these old ones in a long time. I want to say 4 or 5 years. So maybe that's not even a good question, but just so you know the difference, by recognizing the fact that the new box is the one on the right, which is the taller box. The old box that you see on the left, doesn't have Bluetooth technology that will communicate with your phone. So just know if you happen to see one of those, you may not be able to get it open without help from the listing agent. All right, any questions or comments on that? All right, so let's move on to Supra Online, right? So agents can use Supra Web and track a number of things, including showings, key box inventory, meaning how many boxes you own, right? Invoice and bill pay history, and create reports for your client, which is and actually a little nugget here. Okay, so let me stop here for a second. This is something that I used to do with my clients, because sometimes I would have a listing and the listing agent, I'm sorry, the seller would say, hey, Alex, how many showings has there been on the property? And then I would look on the system and I would tell him, oh yeah, there's been 8 people there. And he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. He seemed to think that there was no showings because nothing looked touched, or the home didn't feel like had been visited. So what I did is I printed a report from the website and I gave it to him. Well, I emailed it to him, right? And that was proof of what I was telling him. I wasn't just telling him, hey, there was 8 showings and I'm just shooting off the hip, right? No, this was a report that I was getting from the lockbox itself. And those were the individuals. It would show actually their name, their email address, and when they visited, right? And that report, you can give it to your client. So this is a way of verifying that information, but it also will give you a little bit more credibility with your client. So you can also get feedback from other agents or even assistants. All you gotta do is log in, right? So here's the login. We're all familiar with, username and password. If you don't have an account, obviously, you can register, and you have to be a Supra owner in order to log into this website. Okay, guys. So, which I have a feeling that because it's been a while for me did I even have logged into this website, but I have a feeling that when you actually purchase a Supra lockbox, that they give you a username and password to log in, and or will show you how to register, your account. So so this is how normally how you get started. Any questions or comments on that? So as we get into the system now, okay, you'll see this is just the one that I had up in 2017. Okay, these were the individuals that actually went onto the property, right? And you'll see here, once open, the Supra Web is menu driven, right? The dashboard has recent showings, quick links show update codes, authorization codes, and user change options. You can direct your view to your listings, report settings, billing, or support. And that's all the stuff you see on the top, right? On the top of the web page, and then also on the side here, you see it. They're available options that you can use when you're on that account. But you'll notice there too is that the majority of the page is showing these are individuals that saw the property, and actually even showed when I went onto the property as well. You'll see on the 4th one down, it shows that I showed up there at 9:57 a.m. on the 15th, right? So these are illustrations now of what you would find on the website. That's the blown up versions of those on the website. Any questions or comments? Okay, so Celia, I'm in the web and say Supra Web, and SupraNet. Oh, you're saying that there's a different website? That's where I used to log on. I don't know, maybe it changed, but I'm pretty sure it's Supra Web for Supra. So let's keep moving here. I don't see anything here on the thing, but we can definitely take a look. So, so the top of the dashboard indicates a date range that will be used to identify your searches and can be changed with this button. Okay, so you can change the showings in terms of the dates as to when you're searching, if and when you're searching. That's where you would do that. Showings are indicated below by date. It indicates agent's name, email address, phone number, and office name. The actions menu allows you to see the listing visited. So that's the little house on the side there. If you click on that, it'll show you what house they visited. So once in the action menu, you can see the MLS number, the key box ID, and the address of the property. You can email directly from this menu. So if there, and I remember this listing on Marwood, okay, you can actually email them right from here if you have a communication that you want to talk to them about, and or they may have commented on it. Okay. So any questions or comments on that? So if the address has not yet been assigned to the key box, you can do that here. Simply click on the house under actions, and the updated listing MLS number window will appear, and that's what you see here on the left. Simply input the MLS number and click assign. The next slide shows additional options with this feature. So that's how you would potentially assign, or one of the ways of assigning a box. The other way is actually on the phone when you're at the property, right? When you're actually putting it on the property. But this is simply just another way of assigning the lockbox, which I mentioned before, the serial number, okay? It shows you that a serial number, right? And some of you are now seeing my password, which I haven't used a Supra in a while, so it really doesn't matter. But it also shows you the shackle code, okay? So any questions or comments? All right, so moving right along. After clicking assign, the system will take you to the listing details page. It allows you to add a photo if you wish, edit the address, or even change the MLS number, right? So here's the different options, right, that you have once you're in the assigned section of the lockbox. So you'll see that there's a little bit more control that you have of the assignment of every one of your lockboxes. So the feedback section allows you to ask the agents who have shown the property to give feedback based on your questions. You can ask up to 10 of them. So there's like some preloaded questions that you can put up there, right? And this is where you would add that feedback, right? The showing hours indicates the hours you have set your Supra to operate. The key box will not operate outside of these hours. And so say that answered your previous question in terms of whether or not you can turn the access on and off on a property. Just set the times, right? I got somebody logging in here. So yeah, you would just set the times on your lockbox as you're assigning them, right? And that will give you the opportunity to turn the access on or off, just depending on the times that you put in there. Any questions or comments on that? All right, so now support. Obviously, we're moving across here to the support section. Let me see if I put an arrow up there. Probably not. Supra support team is open 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. They can help with most issues. And let me tell you, I have called them a couple of times, and they were very helpful. And believe it or not, as long as they have some of your or all of your information, they can help you on the spot with a lockbox. I mean, it's amazing the technology that we have now, where somebody could be sitting literally in Oregon, and then helping you here in Southern California open a box or get the shackle off. I've had that happen a few times where the signal wasn't very good with my phone, but for some reason they were able to remotely take care of some of this stuff. So interesting how all of that kind of transpires. Any questions or comments on that slide? All right, and so we moved a lot faster than I remember on this particular presentation, but that's okay. That's okay. It is a religious holiday for some, Ash Wednesday. So most of you will be happy to know that we'll probably be done in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But here's a quick overview of what we talked about today. Was the company itself, the equipment. So we have the boxes and also the app. Some of you may still have that key fob that connects to your phone, right? The agent's use, right? You take the shackle off, you put it on, you could put it on a fence or a doorknob or just something where it can't be taken off or stolen, right? And the operation, once you turn your app on, put in your password, you're gonna see a little light flickering on the eye of the box. And that's indication, well, actually it'll beep. That's an indication that if you push on the bottom of the box that the key will pop out or the key box will pop out. And that gives you the opportunity to use the key at that point. The Supra website, we talked about registering for an account. Once you're inside, you have control over the times that you want the Supra lockbox to be open or closed or not in use. You can send emails directly from the system. You can assign the boxes to a particular property. And then obviously the support, if you have any questions that you need answered or you need help with anything, you can call that support team and they can help you with that. Okay, so any questions or comments so far? All right, so we're at final thoughts, 6:29, and believe it or not, we're on slide 21 already. So that went pretty good. Earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that Supra began designing and using lockboxes in 1955. I would like to see what that looks like. And so funny, I mentioned that earlier. So same curiosity applies to me, right? I think I did this presentation, or I made this presentation probably 5 or 6 years ago. So same curiosity, you know, I still want to see that box. I have obviously evolved into a more convenient, user-friendly, and more secure technology, not to mention cost-effective. The use of these lock boxes is pretty commonplace pre-pandemic, right? At one point, MLS required their use. And I don't know if you guys remember that. There was a time when MLS required that you put a lockbox up. Now it's okay to put a lockbox that has a combination. But before, the combinations were frowned upon for just a couple of years. That was a short time, and then they went back to the old way of just, you know, letting the agents decide what they want to use. You are welcome to use any kind of lockbox for now. It makes sense to take the lockbox use to a different level by allowing the tracking of their opening, placement, and scheduling. Identifying the person who opens it and ability to communicate with those folks takes technology, in my view, to a different level. I invite you to visit the Supra eKey website and mess around with it. Definitely something you guys should familiarize yourself with. Remember that just because there are other agents that are out there working doesn't make them our enemies. We are comrades. We're in the same business. And the more people that you know and the more relationships that you can sustain in the real estate business, and that's even true about your comrades, the better you will do in real estate. Because let me tell you something, over the years, I've created, or not created, but I've fallen into situations where I would never work with some of these agents again. So if I ever happen to see their name again, you know what's going to happen. That their email is going into the round file, right? And you know, obviously without any disrespect. But but we've all dealt with people like that. So simply what I'm suggesting is don't become that person. Stay cool, deal with things very pleasantly and hospitably, right? Remember, we're in the hospitality business, right? So whereas this website allows you now to communicate with people that you would have never seen or even met 90% of the time otherwise, right? So this is where I recommend that you mess around with the Supra E-Key website and get to know it. And if you are a listing agent and you're using these lockboxes, definitely an advantage. All right, guys. So any questions or comments? All right, so that said, you guys know about the YouTube channel. I've been recording these sessions and putting them up on the YouTube channel. They're also on Rumble. I'm still working on that website. So I will have actually 2 different channels. So if you guys are interested in seeing any previous recordings, feel free to log on to that link. And of course, you can't click on the link right now, but the link is included in the email reminder sent every week. So it's at the very bottom of the email. If you go to that link, copy it. That way you don't have to keep searching for it. Put it on a Word document on your desktop or something that we have easy access to it. Or obviously, if you guys would be so kind as to subscribe to the channel, you can just go onto your YouTube account and it should be there, right? So the other thing, if you guys would be so kind as to share the link with whomever could benefit from it, that way they can see these presentations as well, okay? Other than that, guys, we have our affiliates and resources. There's Mr. Larry, and Larry, oh yeah, he's still here. Larry's here. There's his information. He's with the Old Republic Title, and he is a good source of information when it comes to even getting business. So feel free to give him a call and have a conversation with him. Been in the business probably longer than me, right? So a good resource there. Liz with ERAS Mortgage, also broker with Uptown Realtors, and escrow company. Highly recommend if you need an approval. Liz has been in the business for a long time and she knows her business, right? If you guys are looking for motivation, take a look at Mr. David Plummer's meetings on Saturday mornings between 8:15 and 9:45. There's a meeting ID and password. Take a picture of that if you need to, but you'll leave that hour and a half motivated to want to go out and get business. I mean, that's what Dave does. So he's good at it. And then anybody needing NHD, a required report on all files. There's Shamim's information and phone number. Feel free to give her a call if you should have any questions on NHD. And then obviously my information. So you guys, thank you for coming. Again, I'm not an attorney or accountant, but I do like to share this information. And the nugget from today mainly is that this gives you the opportunity now to put a few more acquaintances of your comrades and start up conversations by being able to see who visits your properties, right? So whereas to make those business connections that we all have to make in real estate, that's just how it is. So I invite you guys to, again, visit that website if you do have a Supra account. And, I mentioned to you the other nugget is that you can purchase Supra lock boxes on Amazon or eBay or most of the websites. The only thing though is they have to be programmed by your board. So once you get them, unless they're already with the board, you would have to get them programmed. Okay, so that's something you want to look into before you purchase them. Okay, so other than that, any other questions or comments? We went really fast today. I want to say this is probably the shortest presentation that we've had in a long time, but it's good information. We all use this technology. If we're not using it ourselves, sometimes we have to use it because we're representing a buyer. right? Some of us are familiar with the days of having those other fobs, those other fobs that communicate with your phone. But you know what? They did away with that mainly because agents were letting other people borrow their Supra keys, right? And so this eliminated that because you're not necessarily going to let somebody borrow your phone to go show property, right? So that's just an interesting point that they were able to kind of take care of that problem that they were having where agents were letting people borrow their Supra keys. And I don't know if some of you saw the pictures, and let me back up here a bit. Let me see if I can see a picture of the one of the old keys, because I think I still, oh, there's a picture of one there. And this is the old, what it used to look like, right? The active key. I mean, I might still have mine. I just have to look for it. But you know, I stopped using it because I started using the phone, right? So I don't know if those still work. They might, but these are questions that you would have for the board, right? But before, you used to be able to let people borrow that as long as you give them the password, right? And Supra didn't like that idea. So when they moved over to the Bluetooth technology, they definitely solved that problem, right? So anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you guys for all the compliments. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you guys coming on and visiting with me. Again, feel free to log on to the YouTube channel to see any previous presentations. I'm not an attorney or an accountant. Today's March 2nd of 2022, and we are coming up at 6:40. I'm pretty much done for the evening, unless you guys have questions, comments, or you just want to chat about anything. I really have nothing. I mean, other than, I could probably have you here for an hour with just problems that we have on files, but really one of the biggest problems that I'm confronting right now is people just complying to a broker request. You know, a lot of brokers, they do things their own way, and everybody's worried about liability, right? Some are not, and the ones that aren't just kind of blow things off. But the people that are worried about liability, who knows? Maybe they've been sued before. Maybe they've been fined before for violations. So they're a little bit more curious, or not curious. They're a little bit more careful, right, with how they do their business. And I happen to know a lot of those people because they call me to ask me questions on how to deal with certain things, right? And so I happen to get a lot of that feedback. So I feel it. So now what does that do for me? Well, what it does for me is it causes me to be compliant as much as I can, because I'm researching all of those things. If somebody says something to me, I'm going to research it, and I'm going to figure out the gist of it, or the right and wrong of it, and figure out exactly how to deal with certain things to protect my client. Now, ultimately, when it comes to you guys, it's about protecting yourselves, right? So if you are working on something, you want to protect yourself and protect your client. So that seems to be the gist of any file when it comes to wanting to close a deal. It's not always about the paycheck. Usually, that's the motivation, but you always are hindered by these little hurdles that you come up through most transactions. So all I would simply just recommend, guys, is just try and cooperate with your comrades. These are the listing agents if you're with the buyer side, and these are the selling agents if you're on the seller side. Simply just cooperate. It will make things so much smoother, right? Because it's not being about right and wrong a lot of times. One of the disclosures, so let me give you an example. One of the disclosures that is not required if you're using a TDS, the transfer disclosure statement, is the water heater and smoke detector disclosure that we're all used to, where where the client signs it twice, and like the seller signs it twice, the buyer signs it twice, that disclosure is not required if you're using the TDS, because there's a blurb on page 2 of the TDS that satisfies that requirement. But yet you'll find agents that are still sending it. So instead of arguing with them, just get it signed. Don't argue with them. Say, oh, this isn't required, right? Why are we having that conversation? Not a big deal. It's a redundancy. So no reason to argue that point. But you'll find that if you start working with agents frequently, you'll find that these agents will tell you exactly that. That is not required. It's, you know what? It may be for my broker. So excuse me for saying, Mr. Agent, but my broker is requiring it. So yes, it is required. And so just try to stay conducive to that diplomatic relationship that I'm always talking about. But anyway, that said, guys, you're welcome. Dion, Celia, Karen, Victoria, Robert Sully, Jose, Larry, Julieta as well. Thank you guys for coming on. I hope you guys, this was helpful to you guys. I know that there was a few nuggets in this presentation. I know fairly short, but I think that's good for Ash Wednesday. So you guys go and enjoy, and I'll see you guys next week. We're coming up to the Avid. You know what? There were some things that came up that I had to stall on giving that presentation, mainly because there was a question that came up and I had to get it answered before. So I didn't want to make the presentation and then potentially give out wrong information. So obviously that's not what I'd like to do. Did you have a question, Mr. Larry?
No, I just want to say thank you. I'm off to church.
Okay, thank you, sir. Have a nice Ash Wednesday. We'll talk to you guys next Wednesday. Okay.
You got it. Thanks, guy.
Okay, thanks again. But anyway, that said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off unless anyone else wants to unmute and chat. You have a question, comment, or a deal that you're working on that you would like to have a question answered, or you have a problem that you want to try to find a solution. I'm good at that. So, I offer to you guys, a few minutes of my time to try and solve what it is that you're confronting. Okay. But again, I share this information because I want to be on the side on the tug of war that of the agents that don't care about this stuff. They don't care about, about the technicalities that we have to deal with under our license. And I would like to tug the other direction where we do care about this stuff and we're knowledgeable about it, and we're changing the perspective of society and community. We're changing the perspective of the community about real estate agents. So I applaud you guys for taking that position. Okay. But other than that, guys, you guys have a nice Ash Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and log off, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. All right. Have a good night.